Hi, Erin. Hi, Susan.
Hello. Hi, you guys. So great to see you. I can't see Susan for some reason. That's so weird.
It's just her name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. It's so funny, like how um Zoom changed, and so now I can't see people. Oh, well, so great to see you guys. Thank you so much for coming. We'll see who else pops on to this call. But I'm so excited for our little book club. This is just our Wednesday wellness meeting. We're doing a book club review. I'm really excited because going forward, I'm wanting to start doing these Wednesday wellness calls again. And so one month we're going to do a book club. The next month we're going to do an inspiring interview with someone who's really successful at a sugar and flour free lifestyle. And then yeah, so we're going to go back and forth with that each month. So going forward, it's going to be the first Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. So the first Wednesday of each month, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And our next meeting we're going to be is a really inspiring interview with one of my one-to-one clients that's just had such an extraordinary transformation. So it's so fun. So, oh, there you are, Susan. Hello. I'm so glad you're here. So great to see your face again. Oh, you're muted, but let's see. Yeah, I think you can unmute if you want. So let's go ahead.
Hi.
Oh, there
I just
you
wanted to,
are.
I didn't look at that background. I'm in my pajama on the beach. It looks like.
I love it. You look so
Yeah,
cute.
nice to see you again, Erin.
It's so great to see you too, Susan. Thanks
I
for
love a
coming.
good book club. So I saw that and I'm like, hey, I'm going to join in and get back on track.
Me too. I'm really
Mhm.
excited. So, did you guys have the chance to read the book? Today we're going to be reviewing The Glucose Revolution by Jessie, and I always mess up her name. Inchauspé. Let me see.
Sounds good.
Jessie Inchauspé, maybe. It's French, and so yeah, I'm sure that's not how you say it. But yeah, did you guys have a chance to read the book? You don't have to if we can still talk about it if you didn't. I'm just
I
curious.
started to read it and I'm just like blown away by it. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't think I would have ever picked it up to read it. And I'm just like, holy cow, I think I posted this on the Facebook page. Like if I had only been taught this years ago, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah, I agree.
thank
It's
you.
like it's really life-changing and for those of us that are living sugar and flour free already, it's just so validating. It's like, yes, like this is why our this lifestyle is so life-changing, right? And so it really talks about the science of um of glucose and glucose spikes, why glucose spikes can be so harmful to us, and then ways to help us to stabilize our blood sugars and the benefits of that. So, anyway, I'm just going to do a quick little review and then I would love to just hear your insights about the book, like what your takeaways are. So this book was written by Jessie Inchauspé. So she's called the Glucose Goddess on Instagram. If you've ever gone to Instagram and looked at her page, it's really great. She has lots of little comparisons that she does. Um, Simple comparison charts of like ways of different ways of eating food that helps you to stabilize your blood sugars. So she's really perfected like that art of making this message so simple. And so she is a biochemist who, after a near-death experience when she was a teenager, she made it her mission to feel her best every day. And after experimenting on herself with a continuous glucose monitor, she really just started to notice these patterns um, of blood sugar spikes after she was having certain meals or on certain days. And so she did her research, and it became really clear like that when she was feeling so poorly, it was because she was having big spikes or dips in her blood sugar. So she learned that just to feel her best, she had to start um, stabilizing those blood sugar levels. And so she now shares the results of her research. You can go on Instagram. It's really fun to see her little comparison charts. And she wrote this book, The Glucose Revolution, which is just full of a lot of really helpful and useful hacks that even for those of us living sugar and flour already, I found that these hacks are so helpful in helping us to, living sugar and flour free as we do, sugar and flour free lifestyle. Your blood sugar levels are so much more stable. Just in general, right? But these hacks, it helps it become even more stable. So that we can have the benefit of like curbing our hunger and not having all the cravings and just like better regulating our hormones. So glucose, she starts the book out with discussing what glucose is. And so glucose, it's just so the book starts with what's like a really great description of photosynthesis, which is just the process by which plants produce glucose. And then from there, we learn that glucose enters the bloodstream via like starchy or sugary foods. And so it also goes into why today we eat more glucose than ever. So because of just the standard American diet, right, we have so many processed foods that spike our blood sugar. And so we have to be really careful because glucose spikes can be really harmful. Too much glucose leads to inflammation in the body, which produces oxidative stress. And that is caused by free radicals, and glycation is caused by glucose and fructose molecules that damage other molecules. So your body she talks about how like this oxidative stress, this glycation is just so harmful for our body. And when we have these big glucose spikes, excessive insulin is just pumped out into our body to clear the glucose away. But over time, that can eventually lead to insulin resistance. And that's been like linked to a lot of chronic diseases, including type 2 diabetes, cancer, heart disease, hormonal issues, like acne and PCOS and even Alzheimer's disease. So it's really incredibly important, just for diabetics to stabilize their blood sugars. We all know how important that is, but every one of us, it's important for us to keep our blood sugar levels steady, to be able to be our healthiest and to feel our best. So, uh, so glucose spikes, if you've heard of glucose spikes, so they are just like, what that means is just a quick increase and a drop in your glucose concentration in your blood. So after you eat. And those glucose spikes can be really harmful. So the idea is that the flatter the glucose curves, the fewer spikes and dips that you have, you're going to have improved health. Sweet food creates those spikes and in the glucose spikes, but also fructose spikes, which fructose is actually even more harmful. So yeah, just so interesting. And so there's three things that happen in our body when we spike our blood sugar. So the cells in our body, they work really well when the amount of energy that is provided is the same amount of energy that is needed, right? To have that balance. That's like how our body works the best. But when our body receives more glucose than it can use, it builds up and a glucose spike happens. So when too much glucose builds up, that's when we get those molecules called free radicals that are released, and then they damage everything that they touch in your body. So these repeated spikes of blood sugar produce more free radicals than we can manage. And over time, this can lead to the development of cancer. And so when there are more free radicals than what our body can handle, we are in a state of oxidative stress. So yeah, it's just so important to avoid those glucose spikes. And I definitely don't explain it as well as she does in the book. But I I did learn a lot from reading this. Um, so our bodies like actually brown inside to signal like this deterioration of our organs. And that's caused by the combination of glucose with another molecule. So this is a normal process called glycation that we can't stop, but we can slow it down. So we can slow down the aging process. And having too many free radicals or oxidative stress and glycation, that leads to inflammation in our body, which is the body's way of defending against invaders. So when our pancreas, which is that hormone that sends out insulin into the body, when so uh you know when we have those big amounts of glucose in our body, the pancreas sends that hormone insulin to help to store the glucose throughout the body and protect it. And the first place where the body stores it is in the liver. And that's where glucose is turned into glycogen, um, which is, and then the second place that it stores glucose is our muscles. And the problem is that these storage units like fill up really quickly. So glucose turns into glycogen and fat. And then extra fructose also turns into fat. So we get this when we have too much glucose in our body, it just converts into body fat. And if we have excess body fat, that can lead to diet-related diseases. So managing these glucose spikes can really affect how you feel day to day. And the symptoms can really vary from person to person. Like short-term effects can include cravings and chronic fatigue, poor sleep, constant hunger, getting sick, like with a cold or night sweats, migraines, right? Can be some of those short-term effects of glucose spikes. Long-term effects can include like acne or arthritis, Alzheimer's. We talked about that risk of cancer, depression, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. So the goal is really to like flatten our glucose curves. And so what Jessie does is she gives these hacks. There's 10 hacks of ways that we can flatten our glucose curves without totally changing the way that we eat. And for those of us that already eat sugar and flour free, like a lot of these things, it's just minor little tweaks that we can do, but really will make a big difference in your cravings and your hunger. And I've found a big difference already in my lifestyle. Like I've been living this way for 3 years, and I have felt like different, more in control. So the first hack is to just eat foods in the right order. So sometimes it's not about eat this and not that, but it's just how we eat it. And the right order is to have your fiber first, your protein and fat second, and then your carbs and sugar last. So the carbs and sugar are what spike your blood sugar, and we need those because that's what gives our body energy. That's the preferred method of delivering energy to our brain, right? Is by having carbs. And so our body wants that energy, but by eating it last, by eating the fiber first, like from vegetables, and then your protein and your fat, and then the carbs at the end of your meal, you can eat the same meal, but avoid the glucose spike. So even, for those of us that live sugar and flour free, we would just eat the vegetables first. We'd eat the protein and carbs, and then at the end of the meal, have your starchier or foods or the food or your fruit. So just a super small tweak. So hack number 2 is to add a green starter to all of your meals. So having a salad first or green vegetables. And so I want to show you this little graphic here. Let me see if I can find it. It's just so interesting. I'm going to share my screen for a second. See if I can figure it out. Okay, so this is just from her Instagram page, but this is one of her cute little graphics that she does. So you can see like having a vegetable lasagna. And of course, like in the healthy real food lifestyle, we don't eat noodles or anything, but anything that's going to spike your blood sugar. If you eat a salad before, you can avoid the spike after. So this is just an example of just eating the vegetable lasagna by itself, right? You get this big spike, quick up and down of your blood sugar, and then you have a big spike. But if you eat the salad first and then the vegetable lasagna, it really, like having that fiber first and having the salad first, it can help you to avoid the spike in your blood sugar. Isn't that so interesting? Okay, let's see. And sorry, if you guys have any comments or anything, feel free to just shout them out. Are you trying to raise your hand, Susan?
Yes.
Oh,
Hello, can you
okay.
hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
go ahead. Go
Okay,
ahead.
good, good. I have a question because that's perfect. The second one she added because I was thinking like tonight I had a Mediterranean blend and it had a few peas, which I would think that would be more starchy vegetables.
Mhm.
But it was a blend. I'm wondering like having then you went to the second one. I'm wondering adding that green salad would help with those
Yeah.
vegetables. Is that what you're saying? And if I eat, sometimes we have peas and carrots, which are I would think
Right.
heavier carbs instead of just green
Yeah.
beans and stuff. You think that's the way to do it though? Add the green salad first.
Yeah, like having like a green starter, like with a salad or leafy greens and stuff can help us to avoid those blood sugar spikes. So yeah,
Okay.
but like peas or carrots, like, or, I think I would still, I mean, I personally would just still consider those as like fiber. Um, I don't think that they are starchier, but they have so much fiber in them that I don't think
Okay.
we're as at risk for like spiking our blood sugar as if we were to eat like, a banana or something.
Okay.
So
Okay. That's
yeah,
helpful.
but it is just something to think about. Like the starchier vegetables, like potatoes or sweet potatoes, like yeah, those are things that we would want to maybe eat near the end of our meal instead of at the beginning.
I wonder
So
like for breakfast, is she saying a salad too for breakfast? Or greens?
yeah, we're gonna get to that.
Oh,
So
okay. I
which
just
I
saw
thought
your I
was
had
really interesting. She talks about
okay.
like one of her hacks is to eat like a more savory breakfast. So
Okay.
yeah, which I have found to be really interesting. Okay. So
Well, I'll
yeah,
wait to get to it. Okay.
I know. And so the hack number 3 is just stop counting calories. So that's not something that we usually do anyway in the healthy real food community. But for those of you that are watching this replay and you're wanting to, you're trying to lose weight and you're counting calories, like really calorie having more calories, it's not so much what makes us gain weight. Like really it's the different kinds of calories that we eat have different effects on the body because they're different molecules. So we just want to have like balanced macronutrients. So that's like why in the Healthy Real Food program we have, um, we focus on having a balance of every food group. Um, and so it's not so much just calories in and out. It really isn't. It's about just fueling your body with with a variety of colorful food from every food group. So hack number 4, she talks about flattening your breakfast curve. And so I think this is the one you're talking about, Susan. So a lot of people, like I know when I was a kid, I would always eat cereal for breakfast, right? Like that's a really common breakfast meal in the United States, and that can just cause a big glucose spike when you eat that first thing in the morning. Other breakfast meals to avoid are just like anything that's really starchy. So before the healthy real food lifestyle, before I started this lifestyle, like I always had things like, and sorry if it's triggering to anyone, but like toast or jam or like pastries or biscuits, juice, right? Like Pop-Tarts. And those are all things that are like eating sweet things that first thing in the morning and having that glucose spike first thing in the morning. It really sets you up for even more issues throughout the day. So breakfast is really the worst time to have your glucose spikes. It's the worst time for sure to eat any sugar or starches. And so having sugar like after a meal is is a much better option. So by choosing a really good breakfast, you have more energy and you have a better mood, clearer skin, fewer cravings throughout the day. So avoiding and smoothies is something that everyone thinks are so healthy, but like in terms of the glucose spike, it's just like drinking a soda pop, right? Like when we blend up fruit, it really just it obliterates all of the fiber. And so the fruit is just or the juice, right, is just immediately absorbed into our bloodstream and causes big glucose spikes. So yeah, really like um smoothies are not like a healthy option for us. Like you don't if you do have a smoothie, you want to make it with vegetables, like or and you definitely don't want to have any more fruit in your smoothie than you could eat like at a setting, right? Like you don't like having a banana and apple and orange and one smoothie, right? Like that can definitely set you up for a big spike, especially when we just obliterate all the fiber. So what she teaches is just that the more carbohydrates that we consume, in that way, the more blood sugar spikes that we have, the less energy we feel, the less energy we have. So uh, to flatten our glucose curves, instead, we want to really try to choose more of a savory option at breakfast. And so, like she recommends things like an omelet, right? Or um, even like a salad or meat and vegetables or something is fine, right? So the ideal breakfast is really to have more of a savory breakfast. Um, for those of us in the healthy real food community, like to me, um, the breakfast is really one of the starchier meals that we have. We usually have our starch in that meal and a fruit with a protein. So just like adding maybe um, a vegetable starter to the beginning of it. Or what I have done, I've left my meal plan the same, where I have my starch, my protein, and my fruit for breakfast. But what I do is I have, oh, they're really great. I wish I brought one to show you, but the um, Benefiber has these little packets that you can just drink and get this instant fiber, and it's unsweetened and it's tasteless. And so just eating that right before your starchier meals. So that's what I do in the morning. I left my breakfast the same just because it's automated for me. But that is something, a way that we can help to decrease the spike with breakfast, even with a sugar and flour free meal, you know. Um, that's something that I found on that one where I don't usually eat vegetables for breakfast. That's something that has helped me.
Erin,
So,
can I ask you a question? Sorry.
yeah,
So
please.
you do this Benefiber flavor packet before your breakfast meal so that you're getting your fiber or you're getting more fiber. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. So it's just like I mean, in the healthy real food lifestyle, we eat so much fiber, right? Like we usually don't need to supplement very much. Maybe just like a little multivitamin and stuff. But just that meal specifically, I find that it's helpful. Like that's the one that I think we're most at risk for spiking our blood sugar. And so yeah, again, it's just like going to the order that we eat our foods. And so having a little bit of fiber before the meal can help to stabilize our blood sugar there.
And then I wanted to just ask you about, um, Cheryl says she eats kale salad for breakfast.
She does. Yes. I love that, Cheryl. That's awesome.
So you were talking about smoothies, but you do not promote smoothies, right? What I thought was interesting in the book
Mm-hmm.
was when she was talking about the strawberry. So you have a fresh strawberry and she just
Mm-hmm.
froze it overnight. And then when you take it out and you defrost it and you go to eat it, it doesn't have that same consistency. It's mushy because it's lost the frozen, when you freeze it, it loses that fiber. I was like, oh, that makes sense because I'm like, what's the difference if I have a frozen strawberry or I have a regular strawberry?
Right.
Like, well, sometimes we can't get the fresh fruit, you know what I mean? But so we do go to the frozen. But so that I thought was really interesting because I never thought about things like that. Like, why is this frozen strawberry mushy?
Yes, I know. Isn't that so interesting? And yeah, so like just eating fresh whole food, like in its most natural form is just the healthiest for our human bodies, right? And so, but it's like good, better, best, right? Like a frozen strawberry is better than other options, right? And so, but like the best option for sure, I think is like, yeah, having fresh, fruit in season, that's you just picked from the tree, right? Like that's the goal.
And what I
But
think is really cool about what you said about what her hacks are, to eat food in the right order. So, when I was living in Spain, you would sit down at the table and there would usually be 3 plates in front of you. They'd be stacked up. And the first thing that came out was either a salad or vegetable. Then the second thing that came out was the meat. You know what I mean? And then after that, there would be probably we always had fruit. We always had fruit, for dessert. You know what I mean? And I'm just thinking because people would say like, "Oh, you're going to gain weight because they fry their food. They do this, they do that." And actually, it was fried a lot of the food, but it wasn't fried like the way we fry food. It's very different when it's pan seared, fried like that versus deep frying. And so like I thought it was funny when I had friends that would come to Spain and to my house to eat, you know what I mean? And we put the plate out and it has everything together. And their first reaction is just like staring at the plate. Why are all these
so
things on one
funny.
plate? You know what I mean? Or, like you do family style and they're just looking at one plate because they're used to just like having a plate of salad or a plate, you know what I mean? And I was like looking at a friend and I was like, what's the matter? And he's like, why is everything on the same plate?
Ah, that's so interesting. And yeah, it is interesting like how different cultures, do things in different ways. But yeah, she talks about that in the book too, a little bit about how like some different cultures like have do a lot of these hacks and don't even know why, or like maybe they don't even know why, but it really is like the healthiest way to do it. And so yeah, just kind of in the standard American diet, we kind of go for fast and quick and easy. And yeah, so it's good for us to just slow down and just remember some of these healthiest habits. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, Debbie. Um, so hack number 5 is just having any type of sugar you like, they're all the same. So what she's saying here, is that, a lot of people say that like agave is healthier or like honey is healthier than regular sugar. But what the research shows is that there is no difference between table sugar, honey, and all the other alternatives because they're all made of glucose and fructose. And so the reality um, is that regardless of what kind of sugar, it has the same impact on your body. So that's like why when people ask like, why don't you eat like maple syrup or honey? Like those are natural forms of sugar. It still spikes your blood sugar the same way that table sugar does. So I thought that that was really interesting and helpful in like learning how to explain that to people. So yeah, just at that molecular level, there is no difference. And really, we don't need sugar to live. Like, it's not one of the food groups. So but if you are a person that eats that, like, it doesn't matter which kind of sugar you eat. Um, so yeah, I found that helpful. Um, in and because sometimes I think people get confused. I'm like, why don't you eat stevia? Or like, so she does say that like stevia and other there's like monk fruit, like those are some that don't affect your blood sugar. But what I've learned is that it's like artificial sweeteners still affect your insulin level and really can fuel food addiction. So like just the sweetness of food is what like lights up that dopamine reward center of our brain that makes us and that really can really lead to the cravings and increased hunger. So in the healthy real food lifestyle, we try to abstain from any type of sweetener, except fruit, right? Fruit is sweet and it has glucose and fructose in it, but also has so much fiber in it. And so let me see if there's let me see here. So like eating fruit, it doesn't spike your blood sugar the way other forms of sugar does because it also has so much fiber with it. So, all right here. Okay. Uh yeah, so it's just that sweetness that's addictive. Um, so it doesn't matter which type of sugar. Okay, hack number 6, she says pick dessert over a sweet snack. So this is her talking to people who moderate sugar and flour, right? So it doesn't really apply to me so much or those of you that are abstaining from sugar and flour, but it is interesting and I find this interesting that our bodies like keep working after we eat and this is called like the postprandial state. So to really improve our metabolic flexibility, we can do intermittent fasting. So she recommends not snacking in between meals. She talks about how snacking in between meals, it's really better to just have your meals without snacking in between. And so it was helpful to hear the science behind that really intermittent fasting and not snacking in between meals, um, you know, is so much better for you than just constantly snacking throughout the day. And then she did say, like, for those people who do moderate sugar and flour, like if you do want something sweet, it's way better to have it for dessert after a full meal rather than as a snack on an empty stomach. On a snack as an empty stomach spikes your blood sugar. If you do eat anything sweet, it's definitely something you want to do at the end of a meal. So, and then hack number 7 She talks about the benefits of vinegar before you eat. So before having, and this is again for people who moderate sugar and flour, or eat, sweet foods. She talks about having like teaspoon of, oh, let's see, is it a tablespoon? A tablespoon of vinegar in a tall glass of water, like 20 minutes before you have something sweet, it can flatten that glucose curve. So, apple cider vinegar is a really popular way to do that. But yeah, for me, I like to just have apple cider vinegar on my salad, and I just avoid the sweet treats because of a food addiction. Hack number 8 is after you eat, move. So moving around after eating can revitalize us because the glucose that we just ate can be used by our muscles. And so walking around just for like 10 minutes is enough for you to have around 70, or like walking around for like 10 minutes is enough. And you can have around 70 minutes after, have up to 70 minutes after your meal to do some kind of exercise. And you still are able to experience the benefit of like lowering your glucose spike by just moving after you eat something. So exercising before a meal is also helpful and useful. And exercising, of course, is great anytime that you do it. It improves our mental state and energizes us. But just remember that it, and in terms of like your glucose, stabilizing your glucose curves, uh, exercising is going to be the most impactful after you eat. So, all right, hack number 9 is if you have a snack, go savory. So if you do have a snack or eat in between meals, um, you definitely want to avoid the sweet snacks and instead replace any sweet snacks with carrot, like something that's savory, like carrots, cucumber, cheese, a slice of ham, or nut butter, right? So like the savory snacks give us much more steady energy than things that are sweet. In the healthy real food lifestyle, we don't snack in between meals. It's just a way for us to not have all of the food chatter. And so that's not something that really applies so much to us, but I do think it is interesting. Hack number 10 is she just talks about putting clothes on your carbs. So when you eat carbohydrates, just make sure you don't eat them plain by themselves. Like you don't want to just eat an apple by itself. You want to make sure you're adding fiber or protein or fat to it. So remember to eat so anytime you're eating carbohydrates, as so in the healthy real food lifestyle, the things on the food list under the starch category or the fruit category, you want to make sure that you're combining that with fiber, protein, or a fat. So, like you can combine fruit with nuts or yogurt, right? You can do a starch with eggs or like potatoes with eggs or cheese. So, and when it comes to fruit, berries are really the best option because they have the most amount of fiber in them. So when you think of like the the skin on a fruit, the more skin a fruit has, like the more fiber it has. And so berries are just they're just little, they have way more skin to fruit ratio. And so they're really the best option. And that's why they are a superfood. So yeah, anyway, so interesting, right? What are some of the main things that surprised you, or what are your main takeaways from reviewing this book? Yeah, go ahead and shout it out.
Me?
I'd love to hear.
Can you
Yeah,
hear
go
me?
ahead, Susan. I
Okay.
can hear you.
I had never heard of this book. I just saw your Facebook post yesterday or even today, but oh my goodness, I want to go get this book. because I've been reading a lot. I've been seeing all over about the glucose monitor, and I even thought, well, I need to look into that because I eat healthy, I try, but I'm not losing weight, and I totally think it's because I'm insulin resistant. But I can't afford that thing, and my doctors don't think I need. I haven't really asked them anyway, but I just thought I don't want to do that, so I'm gonna really look into this, and the combining makes so much sense. Putting it in the order, I'm gonna try that, and starting my meals with the greens and like I said, I just heard of this. I took notes, and it just makes
That's
so much
great.
sense to me because that's been my
Yeah,
big battle. Is okay, I might be eating right, but if I'm spiking my sugar for so many years, that I just probably got all this glucose in me that's turning into fat and just can't get out. I don't know. So, but I
right.
mean, do you think this is like a good alternative to the glucose monitor? Is this a way to assess what's, what do you know since you're a nurse about the glucose monitor?
Hmm.
I've heard people say they use it and they certain foods would spike them, but I've never heard anybody say the food order. This is
Right. Yeah, it
so. What
is
are
so
your thoughts about that?
interesting. Yeah, I think the glucose monitor is a great tool. Like if you can afford that, if it's something that your insurance covers, I think it's really useful for you to learn um like what spikes your blood sugar. And it's
How do
not
you
just
ask your doctor?
and it's
How do you ask your? How do you go about presenting this to your doctor to say to them? And what kind of doctor? A regular doctor or
yeah,
like
probably
starting
like
from ground
your
zero?
primary care physician or would
Okay.
be, I would start there and just ask them if that's something that, or even calling your insurance company and asking if that's something that they cover, or if you could use your HSA card to do it if you have a health savings account. But yeah, I would recommend. I've had clients that have worn the glucose monitor, and what's really interesting is how we can still experience spikes in our blood sugar even with a sugar and flour free lifestyle, right? And it's not just food either that spikes our blood sugar. Stress like can really spike our blood sugar. Let me show you this little graphic uh, from her Instagram account. Let me see here. This is just a great example of like how stress can spike our blood sugars. So like a stressful meeting, see that how it increases your blood sugar compared to just a regular meeting where you're calm. So this also kind of shows the benefit of like meditation and staying out of the fight or flight mode. When we're in fight or flight, when we're in the stress response, our body releases glucose into our bloodstream to give us energy to run from the bear, right? And so we have to just um, be able to learn how to manage our mind and learn how to manage our stress levels because even stress can make us more insulin resistant and so and spike our blood sugars. So yeah, it's not just food, but yeah, glucose monitor can be helpful in seeing that. Um, but yeah, I think it is good feedback to just have any form of data. I would love to get one. I haven't gotten one though. I don't think it's totally necessary. I think if we are following the healthy real food lifestyle, like if you're following a sugar and flour free lifestyle, and you're using these hacks, like I think, and just trying to manage your stress levels, then that's usually probably what people would get the most from that is, but and if you're already making those behavior changes, then you're probably pretty good. So yeah.
So Erin, remember when I did go to my primary care and she would not put me in for glucose monitor? She said because my A1C was good and my glucose was good, that the insurance company would just turn it down. So
Mhm.
can you go about getting one? I understand
Yeah.
they're pretty expensive. So like where can you go to get one?
Yeah, they are like really popular now that I know you don't have to have a doctor's referral to get one. And I actually don't know exactly where, but I do have friends that wear them that just and a client that just got one on her own because she was curious and wanted to see. And so, yeah, it is something that you can get on your own. We'd have to maybe Google that or look.
It's not getting it so hard, but it's the monthly maintenance, which somebody, I guess, to read it or monitor, that's what costs. I want to say give or
Oh,
take $100 at least a month. Um,
probably, yeah, that
yeah,
sounds
it's the
about right.
monitoring part. Hmm.
Yeah. So again, I don't know that it's totally necessary to get a glucose monitor. I think it's kind of like a luxury that if you can afford it, it would be interesting. And maybe you could get some good feedback about that could help you to stabilize your blood sugars a little more. But I think that living a healthy, real food lifestyle, like we're already implementing so many of the principles she teaches in this. The main takeaways for me were just the order in which we eat foods and like starting your meals with a green starter. I thought that that was really helpful. And then also, considering a savory breakfast, like, how we each can adjust our meal plans. Like some people, I had a client actually who, after reading this book, she decided to switch her meal plan from having like the starch at breakfast. She decided to move her starch and fruit to lunch. And she had more of a savory breakfast. What they teach in this book is that like having a savory breakfast can really help to stabilize your blood sugars throughout the day. So yeah, just something interesting that we can use to kind of inform our decisions with our meal plans. So yeah, any other insights that or questions that you guys have?
I thought it was really interesting when they talked about the mice, when she talked about the mice, and they put them with a lever so that they would get a dopamine hit. And
Mm.
they just kept hitting the lever for the dopamine, 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 dopamine. And they weren't eating or drinking. And the doctor said they had to stop the research. They had to stop the study because the mice were going to die without the eating or drinking the water because they got more from the
Oh,
dopamine
right.
hit. Do you remember that part? I was like, oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Because wasn't it just like, how did they deliver the dopamine to him? I can't remember. But yeah, it was just the dopamine that they were craving, right? And it was, yeah, that they were going without. Yeah, so just like shows that dopamine reward pathway and how powerful that addiction center of our brain is.
But it makes sense why, like I consider myself a food addict. Why,
Hmm.
you put the bag in front of me and I'm like this, and
Yeah.
it's just like, there's no stopping. And it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, and it was like, that's why you do it. You just kept getting a dopamine hit and you wanted more and
Yes.
more and more and more.
Yeah, absolutely. Like food is just the most powerful drug. Like it really is such a powerful drug and because it's just so available, it's everywhere and we it's and in our in and it's just something that we've learned to turn to for every emotion or to cope with life or to avoid feeling, we turn to food because it gives us that hit of dopamine. And so yeah, like by which the some people can moderate sugar and flour. They can, but other people like me, right, have a brain that is like highly susceptible to addiction from food. And I before I started this lifestyle and I was eating addictively and I didn't even know. I just thought I was like overeating. I didn't really know that it was an addiction until I learned about the science of food addiction um I had gained 120 pounds and I'm like, what is wrong with me? Right? It's like, no, there's nothing wrong with us. We just have a normal human brain that craves dopamine. And food is just such an easy way to get dopamine. And so I think part of a healthy real food lifestyle is like learning to get dopamine in a healthy way without abusing food in that way. So yeah, like finding different ways to reward your brain, like replacing the reward of food. But yeah, the foundational principles of the healthy real food lifestyle for anyone watching the replay is it's very simple, right? Like the strategy is so simple, and what really helped to calm my brain down to help me to lose 125 pounds and overcome my issues with food addiction is yeah, just creating food boundaries. So like a line in the sand that you just don't cross. So with sugar and flour, it's like you don't cross that line ever. And once it's a really hard decision in the beginning to make that decision to give up sugar and flour. But once you do and you experience the benefits, it's just, and you guys have experienced that as well. Just you see how much better life is without it. So, yeah, so food boundaries, with sugar and flour, weighing and measuring your food without snacking in between meals. Like that's really just the simple strategy that helped me. And it is so simple. But yeah, once we do that, our bodies can heal themselves, our brains can heal themselves. We can free ourselves from cravings and incessant hunger and be able to find more peace with food in our body. So there definitely is hope for those of us that are struggling with that. So,
I have another. I have some. I have a question before you move on. The vinegar, when you said the apple cider vinegar, you just pour it straight on your salad, or do you mix it with anything?
oh, yeah, I just pour it straight on my salad and then
Okay, I'm gonna try
with
that.
salt and pepper. Uh-huh.
Okay. And
Yeah.
one more, and I missed the when at the very beginning you said you were gonna start having these the fourth something, and then I was messing with trying to set up. When are you gonna start keep having these, or what did you say about
Oh, the Wednesday wellness. Yeah,
Wednesday wellness the fourth?
so yeah, we're just gonna have like a monthly meeting in the Healthy Real
Okay.
Food Challenge Facebook group. So yeah, just every Wednesday, sorry, um, once a month, the first Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. Mountain Time.
Is it 7
So,
p.m. or 7:30?
oh, thank you, Debbie. 7:30.
Oh, that's good. That helps me out. So, it says 8:30 here. So it's the first Wednesday of the month. Okay.
Yeah, first Wednesday of the month. 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time. And yeah, so we're going to do more books. Like what I really love is that some of us learn the benefits of a sugar and flour free lifestyle from like one source, but there's so much evidence out there that supports it and so many amazing books that I think that we can really expand our knowledge and like build our foundation for our healthy lifestyle by learning from lots of different books and people. So I just want to kind of dive into other books that can help us to support us with our sugar and flour free lifestyle. Books on maybe we may even get stuff on like emotional eating or like managing um codependency or stuff like that, like but yeah, there's just some really great books out there that I'm so excited to discuss together, and
Yeah,
it'll
I
be
like this.
so
It's
fun.
motivating.
Yeah,
I
it's
like,
like
it's
motivating to
encouraging.
me to read them, and it helps me to like I have a goal of like reading at least one of those books a month. Um, so I think it will be really fun to discuss them together and learn with each other.
And
So
will you post the books in the Facebook so we can order them, or
yeah.
I'm
Uh-huh.
totally missed this one somehow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
next month we're going to have a really inspiring interview with like one of my awesome one-on-one clients that just had this incredible transformation. What I love to do is interview. One of the ways to develop a winning strategy is just learning from people who have been successful and doing what they did. Like learning from them instead of trying to figure it all out ourselves. That's how I developed my strategy, is just like watching a ton of interviews. I interviewed a ton of people that I admired and looked up to, and it really helped me. So I wanted to bring that more into the Healthy Real Food Challenge community so that we can learn from each other and and it's so inspiring too to see someone who is like we are, that has struggled and knows the struggle, and then they're thriving, and they're peaceful with their food and their body. And so just like learning different. So anyway, we're gonna have inspiring interviews with people in our community who are successful and can teach us, like we can just pick their brain, like what do you do for meal planning? Like tell us about, just like things that can really help us. So I'm excited for that. So yeah, that's going to
Yeah.
be the topics of our Wednesday wellnesses going forward, is book club and then inspiring interviews. So
Okay.
yeah, but you guys, thank you so much for coming. It's so fun. I know it's like a smaller group this time, but it's like so nice. I love the small groups because we just get to chat together a little bit more. But anyway, I hope
I'm
that I'll
excited.
see you guys again next month. It'll be so fun.
Well, I will tell you, I've been struggling with trying to get restarted, to get back on track, and
Yeah.
it's like it's something that book club drew me in, and so it's like even tonight, I had just glanced real quickly, what's this book about? And I saw her order, and I remember her saying, eat the protein first. So that's what I did with my dinner. I started
Oh, good
already,
job.
and it was really hard though to eat the vegetables. And I had ground beef separate, so I cooked up a bunch earlier, and I was kind of like, okay, the ground beef by itself. But I did it. I lived through it. If anything, to figure out the spike, I think that's what's going to be exciting. If that's what my problem is. I'm willing to try,
Yeah.
to try these hacks. So thank you for sharing them. So
Oh,
yay.
yeah. Thank you guys. It's fun to like learn these different hacks.
They're
I
getting the
think they
signal.
Hi, bud. Just a minute, okay?
How
Okay,
cute.
good. I know that's
Mom.
bedtime.
They're
I
like,
They're like,
know.
mom, come
yeah,
on.
mom.
Cute. All
No,
They're
right.
like,
Well, thank you
thank you
for it
for
all.
suggesting this book. Seriously, I really appreciate it. And I'm going through it slowly, but I'm just like amazed at I'm honestly just amazed at it, and like when she talks about her mom, what her mom would eat for breakfast, I'm like, that's my mother.
yeah.
Special K with some sugar on it,
Oh my.
Uh-huh.
glass of orange juice, it's just like one of those things. And like my mother to this day is like, you need to be having your cereal and your piece of toast and your coffee and your juice. And I'm like, no, I
Right.
don't need to have.
I know.
That's
If only
funny.
we knew this stuff back then, right? But at least we know it now. So
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, it's really fun to learn these different hacks. And I think these small little shifts can really make all the difference sometimes, in helping us to curb our hunger and control our cravings. So,
All right.
but yeah, well, so good to see you guys. And yeah, Susan, just hang in there. I'm so glad that you're back that you're back with us.
One
Just like
meal, say hey.
one meal at a time,
That's
one meal at
right.
a time. What's your biggest challenge this week, Susan?
Oh, I have a lot of challenges, but they're in I don't know, just and yeah, there's grandkids in my house all the time, living with that. They
Mhm.
practically live with us, and just all the I mean, all their little foods, that you serve them along with the healthy foods, but it's just that eating and tasting and all that, and just being tired and too lazy. It's just like, okay, we'll just have a sandwich tonight, even though it's on Ezekiel bread, like, that at night. So I'm gonna stop all that though, for other reasons, but I'm ready to get back in the saddle. And so Luann reached out the other day, and I'm like, okay, this is a sign I need to get back in, and your book club. And it's sort of, how you just keep wondering, okay, I want to get started again. I want to get started again. And I couldn't really do it. And I don't know, those were
Right,
two signs that it's time. And here I am. So I had my dinner, and I had my breakfast. I have everything. I know what to do. I just need to stick with it and not
right.
do the snacking. So anyway, but I'm gonna get this book. I
Yeah,
love this because it brings another layer, kind of just adds more to what we already know. And like
yeah.
Debbie says, it excites me. It's like, oh, I'm learning.
Right. And it's like so validating. But yeah, I
Hmm.
agree. Like it is so challenging to be around all those foods all the time. And for me, because I have those foods around a lot because of my kids, and I don't buy them, but they show up around the house all the time. And so I find it just so helpful to have like those strong food boundaries, it gives so much peace because it's that principle of like one is too many and 1,000 is not enough. It's like once we give in and we start making like small exceptions and excuses with our program, it's just that principle of more begets more in it. And
Mm-hmm.
but 100 for me, like 100% is so much easier than 98%. Like, and I think we need to ditch any shame and guilt around when we do make mistakes or
Right.
off plan. It's not about like morally we're better or worse. It's not about that at all. I think it's just easier and it's much more peaceful experience when we have those strong food boundaries. And for me, like what really helps is just having accountability, like having someone to check in with every day. Just those foundational principles of the healthy real food lifestyle is staying away from the sugar and flour, weighing and measuring your food, like having a meal plan. And I know that you have like that knowledge of like having a balanced meal plan that's customized to your body, like healthy. Um, then and writing down your food the night before, eating exactly what you wrote down, and just checking in with a buddy. Like those 5 things are the most important. And I
I
think
think for me, it's the meal prep too. It's just having my,
meal
so
prep.
I can pull out my
Yeah.
lunch, pull out my dinner without having to go back and forth, because with the kids, it seems like I'm, serving them. It seems like I'm hopping. And then when I finally
Yeah.
sit down, I'm like, so
You
no,
know, and
but I
let
already have,
them like one thing I do, Susan, is a lot of times like I eat before my family. I used to always
oh,
like feed my family first, because like you're the mom and you take care of everybody before you take care of yourself. And then I started, I'm gonna make them wait. And I'm not gonna call them to dinner. Like sometimes if I'm really hungry or something, I'll just like eat my dinner first and then I'll say, okay, guys, dinner time. And then I'll feed them when I feel like I am taken care of. And then I'll sit down with them and I'll
yes, we can say,
drink my water or my tea or something when they're eating. So I can
enjoy
talk
them.
with them. But it like sometimes we gotta just prioritize our needs first.
Yeah, well, I'm ready. So thank you for tonight. It's
Oh,
a
well, thanks
blessing.
so much, you guys, for coming. It's so great to see you. I just
Okay.
love you guys so much. We'll see you next time.
Hey,
All
thanks
right.
so
Take
much.
care.
Bye. Good night.
Bye. Nice seeing you,
Bye.
Debbie.
Nice seeing you, sis.
Bye.
Bye, Cheryl.